Welcome back to the Pontiac. The tilt columns here obviously suffered a little bit in shipping, so we're going to have to figure out how we're making that rounding in. And we're starting to learn some of the differences between the two, including the weird way the turn signal switch goes. That's a mechanical connection down here to this crazy switch that you can't see. Here it is. So yeah, we're going to have to figure all that out. Find out if the switch is even any good, and can we get this connector. If not, we'll figure something out. But yeah, we've got them sitting side by side, kind of exploded out, and honestly, they're not as different as we thought they would be. You know, this looks different, but then when you look at the difference in the offset, the difference from here to here isn't that much different. I wonder how many more times I can say the word different. So we're just trying to learn how all of this works and what we want to do about it. One of the things that we remembered, we have a manual, and it shows in here that we need a different horn button setup, which we already figured that we definitely do because this does not fit on there. So instead of writing this contact point and translating it out, that one screws to the wheel, which explains those 3 screw holes on the steering wheel, and rides this contact. So we're going to have to get that sorted. I don't think we have the hazard switch button, but I bet we have the one off the other one, so that'll work. We believe that this is the horn wire, so we're going to have to source that down. But one of the things we want to do today is get everything freed up, and you'll notice we've been soaking it. And we want to get this in the car and throw the driver's seat in and try the tilting stuff out and make sure we're happy, make sure there's no physical mods to length or mounting points or anything that we have to do. It should, in theory, just bolt right in, but you know how that always works. You know, we don't know if there was a little thing GM had to do to make that work. So that's going to be today's goal, is to figure out if we got a pig in a poke or if this is going to work. Welcome back. We're in the process of learning what it's going to take to pull this apart so that we can correct this cup. And one of the first things I notice is there are definitely French locks on here. So I guess one of the things I'm going to have to figure out is how much tension we have going on, because I have a feeling that that sets some kind of a bearing lash and then gets adjusted. Okay, we're getting a lot closer. We figured out how to get this off. The manual calls for a special Kent Moore tool that obviously we didn't have. What you can't do is you can't use this as a reference point or push against it. So you have to, the special tool lips under here and pulls it off. Because remember, this was pretty crushed. So we tried to use a 3-jaw puller in reverse, and it was just blown apart. And it turned out we could just put the finger cup on the slide hammer and pop it off, no problem. So been working on getting this straighter and straighter. I haven't cleaned it yet, but you can tell already that that is getting really close. And oddly enough, not using hammers, I'm just using the back of a hammer handle against a piece of wood and just tapping and rolling and tapping and rolling. It's really thin, you know, so it's, you can actually crush it with your hands. And then he's cleaning up in here. You know, we'll repack with grease when we're done, but trying to figure all this out, how it all works, and can we get this cup without blowing something to pieces? Because if we can get that cup off, we're going to turn this into a floor shift column. Okay, we've been following the instructions. We're slowly getting things apart. Getting this raised up to get out of the way was fun. This is the upper tapered roller bearing. That's its race. And this is its expansion washer or compression washer. We're trying really hard not to lose anything here. And now we go into a series of special tools that we don't have. So basically we're going to be popping that spring off, and the one, I think it's on the other side somewhere. Oh, it's on the top. So we got those 2 springs to pop. And then the pivots have to come out. We haven't figured that out yet. We don't own that tool. Okay, we're past the point of no return now. We got all this apart. We're still not any closer to getting that cup off, but we're getting there. There's some screws. That's always a good start. But yeah, I got a feeling that we're going to be pulling the whole shaft here shortly. But the thing I want to show myself is which hole this stuff went in. So you can see the turn signal thing. That comes in up here. So you got these two screws and it's going to be on that one. Okay, and there's like a little pockety looking thing in there. So I think that's going to matter. It says welcome back. Okay, we finally got this out. I wound up having to use air to get that out. We're getting closer and closer to pulling this shaft so we can get this cup off. He's been cleaning things as we go as best we can. These are the two springs that are just going to be a nightmare later. We don't have to pull this all apart, so we're not going to, because these pawls don't look very fun. So this is kind of where we're at. Getting ready to just tear this new thing all apart. Quick note, the side with the springs, that goes up on the locating. Okay. Now, in a nightmare mess, remember, this was a perfectly assembled column that looked like it was going to just bolt in and work. So, of course, we have it in a million pieces because we do want to paint it. And, you know, we checked out the bearings. All the bearings actually seem to be good. Everything actually, like I said, this was a working column that hopefully we can get back together, but we'll find out. And, you know, turn signal switch, all the bearings, all the pins, the retainers. On this end, we did have to deal with a little corrosion on the way out, but, you know, nothing you can't do with a little hammer. You know, that still needs cleaned up. That's just a bushing cover. The big thing is, we think what we're going to do with this is fill that hole with 2-part epoxy and let it cure. Cut that nub off. Grind it about as good as we can. Maybe do a little Bondo and feathering. But because we don't care about that lever and can just cut it off, when we're done, this is going to be hard set with that face down. And it won't even be noticeable to anybody. And we can only get away with that because it's not a 69 later car that had a reverse lock. So we can place it anywhere in the thing we want. All we got to do is cut that. And then when we're done, because unfortunately, the tension on the top of this column is integral. So we do have to keep it. That's part of how our bottom bearing seems to be held. So that's going to work out pretty nice, and I don't think it'll be that noticeable. Getting ready to hit the column. Where did you set this guy? He always set it in here. So he's been setting stuff in here to dry. This, unfortunately, as awesome as it is, has a flaw. But knowing that we've still got to work on the piece with the shift lever, we're going to try to knock that down after this is cured. And that's still curing. So, yeah, not sure why, but this is where we paint now, and it seems to be working pretty good. Something we hadn't thought about. There's a bevel here. So we're going to just continue that all the way around because I have a feeling that that's required when this tilts. So we are going to have that problem as well. Yeah, and find out you can't tilt it. So he's working on a little paint. Just kind of working, putzing. We'll go look at what they got going on in here. Got some stuff in here to dry. One thing we noted is how far the factory painted. Was only, you know, right in here. So, not sure if he's going to replicate that yet or not.
Replicate what?
The fact that they only painted to about here.
Yeah.
The horn issue for the tilt column. We haven't found one of those little cancel cams yet. So we'll keep looking. Trying to figure out the wiring for this. I found this connector. I can buy one. I just need to figure out what the pinout is. Because why buy a bunch of adapters if I don't have to? The universal joint here seems to be in great shape. Everything's cleaning up nice, even the bearings. So we're happy there.
Did you see this? Look at that. Look how nice that's going to be.
Yeah, see, and that's the whole thing right there, is that gap. We want that to be the same size. So, yeah, that's what the whole thing's about. It's a lot more work, but, boy, you would just hate it. You would never be happy.
Here,
yeah.
Put this here.
Yep, so, yeah. because the steering wheel's in such great shape. But see, that's the point. And obviously on the Ididit column, since this is 4 inches, there was just this giant gap all the way around. So we've got this considerably more round than it was, but there is one more ding we hadn't noted until some shiny paint. So we do got to knock that out. In fact, I'm pretty sure you probably just saw that like 10 seconds ago. For us, that's a little while ago.
You know, Pix actually saw it after it had the primer on it. I'm like, oh, don't worry about it. But it was pretty bad.
Well, no, it's in a noticeable location. So, anyway, that's kind of what we're probably getting done on the Pontiac today. We thought we were going to have all this mounted and everything so we could check. Yeah, getting that column apart, that's not as easy as it looks. But yeah, I just got to figure out what the pinout needs to be and figure out what I want to do here. So, all right. That's probably the end of the Pontiac. Nothing that we're doing now is worth showing to anybody. So at this point, what do we say?
Thanks for watching.